My name is Jonathan Jones. It's my privilege to be your host and moderator for this afternoon. Today is Sunday, and it's May the 22nd. The information is for educational purposes only. So we do not recommend that you take this information as a substitute for visits to your primary healthcare physicians. To be clear and for the record, I am not a medical doctor, nor do I ascribe to be one. I'm the research director for the Healthcare Support Association of America. It's a private, not-for-profit organization. I do not recommend that you do anything that I tell you to do. In fact, you should not do anything that I tell you to do. So let's just make that very clear. But take information like what I'm presenting to you into consideration when making decisions about your health and well-being, because the reason for this information and the reason for this presentation is to alert you to facts that may not necessarily be readily obvious to those of us who are just laypersons. The majority of us from youth up are geared that when you don't feel well, you go to the drugstore and you find something there. Talk to the pharmacist. If you feel bad, really bad, you go to a doctor. If you feel really, really bad, we're trained to just dial 911 and someone will come to you. So intervention with the dying and disease process is ingrained in us from youth on. I still remember the first time I wondered why my mother, who loved me so much, took me to this man, Dr. Shirley. I'll never forget that man. I was just a kid. Why she took me there and let that man stick something in my arm. I just could not understand that. I need therapy about it right now. But so from early on, that's the way that we're geared. But this is many decades later, and time has passed. We should take better charge of our own health and be our own health advocate. I interviewed some doctors, and they say that there's 4 things that they really want, but one of them on top of the list is that they want their patients to be mentally and emotionally involved in their well-being. And that's most doctors feel that way. And this is a doctor who gave lectures to doctors. They all want their patients to be more mentally and emotionally involved in their well-being, rather than just coming to the doctor and say, "Doctor, make me better," and assuming that that's going to be the case. It's not like going to a mechanic and getting your oil changed. It's not like going to the mechanic and have your alternator replaced. It is not the same. You can go to the doctor, you can go to a surgeon, you can go to specialists, you can go to the hospital, you can go to veterinarian. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get better. By the way, I don't say veterinarian in a disparaging way because they are brilliant. Veterinarians are brilliant. They have to figure out what's wrong with a mammal that can't speak, that can't articulate what's going on. So veterinarians are brilliant. So if you really want to get well, that's who you should be talking to, is a veterinarian. Let them figure out what's wrong with you. I'm not recommending you go to veterinarians. So let me just get that clear. So that's not suggesting. But I'm just letting you know that I'm not negative on veterinarians either. So anyway, we're following up on our discussion about the side effects. Our discussion is where modern medicine meets micronutrients and then meets it in the side effects. And before you say to yourself that micronutrients is just another vitamin, before you say to yourself that why is this any different than anything else, let's listen to one of our patrons, and let's see if we can't allow her to tell us a little bit about her experience. I recorded her, so just in case she wouldn't be available.
There you go.
Good. Well, my name is Jacqueline Gray, and I was introduced to micronutrients about a year ago. And my husband and I, we decided to take a look at it and do some research on it prior to even taking the pills. However, during that particular time, especially at work, I was under a lot of stress and my blood pressure was uncontrolled, unbeknownst to me. And I had to go in the hospital because I couldn't breathe. I knew prior to why I couldn't breathe, because basically I was in the hospital in 2017 with the same condition, but it was a little worse in 2006. No, it actually got worse in last March, when I was in a hospital. I had to be hospitalized for it. The doctor came in and said that my injection fraction was 29%, which was not good. And then when we did our follow-up visit, my husband and I with the doctor, he said to us that it wasn't, good. That was not a good place to be in. So we sought out a second opinion. And from the second opinion, the doctor told us that what I had could be reversed. However, he thought it to be a mitral valve prolapse. The mitral valve prolapse, he said, if it was severe, I would have had to have open heart surgery. But if it was not severe, then medications would control it. Being introduced to micronutrients, we decided that we would try that along with the regimen that I was on. And I would say a month later, because I had to go to the doctor every month at this point. A month later, when he did the ultrasound on my heart, he said that, no, I'm sorry. He did the CTA, which is a CAT scan of the heart, so he can get a really good look at what was going on with my heart. He said that the heart looked like it had started to repair itself and that I did not need surgery. So that was the first good news. The second good news came the following month, when he said that now my heart looks like it was into full repair, whereas the first doctor said that the injection fraction would never repair itself. It would never reverse. It would only get worse, and I would have to only control it. But now with this doctor and with taking micronutrients, that's the only thing I can liken it to, because that's what changed in my life when I started taking that. The micronutrients, the heart actually repaired itself, and the mitral valve actually repaired itself. So the injection fraction went from 25% now to 49%, which the doctor was telling my husband and I was technically unheard of. Basically, he was shocked, and so were we, that my heart actually repaired itself. My sister, unfortunately, had a similar heart condition to mine, and she passed away December 3rd from the condition. And this was after I had told her about taking the micronutrients, but she didn't take it. And I did. And I'm still here to tell the story. So I'm extremely happy about that.
We're happy about that also. And you mentioned this was congestive heart failure?
Yes. Yes. So it's a form of congestive heart failure. The doctor said that there are many, what people don't realize is there are many forms of congestive heart failure. My particular congestive heart failure came from uncontrolled high blood pressure, and then my mitral valve backing up into my lungs. It would, one of them where the flap would open and then close, it was fine. But when the flap opened, one of the flaps opened, the blood went back in. It was like backing up into the heart and then overflowing into my lungs. So he said that was because the heart was stressed from the amount of pressure that was being put on it because of the high blood pressure. So yes, that was a form of congestive heart failure.
Have you been able to get your blood pressure under control?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Yay! Went to the doctor 2 weeks ago, and my blood pressure was 129/60.
That must make you feel pretty good.
That makes me feel awesome. That makes me feel awesome. I mean, it's a scary place to be because you're talking about the heart. So that's a very scary place to be when your heart starts to malfunction on you. And you can feel when that heart starts to go, because with me, my breathing was labored. I didn't even realize how labored it was. My husband realized, Kevin realized how labored my breathing was. And he kept asking, babe, what's wrong with your breathing? And then also my stomach was extended. And he said, no, something is not right. Something is not right. That's because the blood from my heart was backing up over into my lungs, and I didn't realize it.
Incredible. So someone introduced you to micronutrients, specifically MicroDaily. And how much of it were you taking, or are you taking now?
When I was diagnosed at the time, I was taking 6 a day.
6 capsules.
I was taking 6 capsules a day. So I would take 2 in the morning, 2 for lunch, and 2 at night, or 2 with my dinner. Now I'm taking 4 a day. So I take 2 in the morning and I take 2 before I go to bed. But on the flip side of that too, what I noticed is that even with my sugar, because I'm diabetic as well.
Oh, you got all kinds of issues going on here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But with my diabetes, I don't take any of the regular drugs that everybody else take. As a matter of fact, coupled with the MicroDaily that I take every day and another natural pill that I take, my sugar is controlled.
What do you mean by control? What kind of numbers are you looking at?
I'm looking at, whereas when I was taking, believe it or not, the Farxiga and the Jumevia and all those pills and the glipizide that the doctors had me on, my sugar was 220 every morning. I would wake up.
And now?
And now my sugars when I wake up is 87, 100. It could even, sometimes I have to watch it because it'll drop to like 80 when I wake up in the morning. And some people don't believe me, so that's why I take pictures of it.
Well, send us a picture so we can share that with folks.
Okay.
Okay, well, there you have it, folks. That's Jackie Gray telling her story. And she believes, I know her personally, by the way, so she believes that micronutrients has made all the difference in her life in 3 major ways. So let's go on a little bit here and just talk a little bit about the main purpose of our discussion, because now you're seeing that MicroDaily micronutrients can play a very powerful role in health and wellness. And it should not be it should not be minimized, or someone go away from here saying that, okay, well, that's just another multivitamin. That's all you're talking about. It's anything but that. And we're just going to give it just a little brief presentation here to kind of give an overview as to how the product works. Again, we're following up on our previous discussion where medicine leads micronutrients. Now, for the most part, everyone knows that we should eat better. And if you include antioxidants in your diet, that's a very good thing, because we're getting so many oxidants or free radicals in our food. And the reason we're getting so many oxidants or free radicals in our food is because the way that our food is processed. Because of science, science decided that it's better to control the pest, and they do so with harsh chemicals, or they do it by genetically modifying the crops so that they can industrialize and produce in massive quantities like this. So what you see being sprayed on that field is not fertilizer. That's not water. That's weed killer. And they used to do all that by hand. So someone would go in and just kind of pull the weeds in the crop. And that's the way it was taken care of. But that's just too expensive and too time consuming. So now what they do is they just roll the tractor through the field and they just spray it with weed killer. But scientists assure us that that weed killer does not make it into your bloodstream. It does not mix in with your DNA. Harvard is where the science was produced. They take some particular component out of nature, out of a bacteria, out of something, and then they splice it into the crop to make it resistant to something. The most common form of weed killer is Roundup. You can buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you buy these kinds of products from. And people use it even commonly to control weeds. That's what's being sprayed on the food. But once again, we're being assured that it actually does not go into the food. But there's newspaper articles. You could just Google it yourself. And please do. I would like to encourage you to do so. Just go to Google and type in weed killer and grains. Weed killer, grains. That's all. And just see if you get any articles, reputable articles, indicating that Roundup and weed killer has been found in common oats. So this picture looks like it's very harmless, doesn't it? And what parent would even imagine serving up a glass full of weed killer to their child? But sad to say, it's being found in oats, cereals, granola bars. And what you see on the screen here is an actual article indicating that there was a $289 million verdict because of this product being found in food. So they paid out billions of dollars, by the way. Monsanto, they're owned by Bayer now, and they paid out billions of dollars. But that's what's in our food. It destroys the gut microbiome and microbiota. It turns out there's now evidence that there are certain things, like even the coronavirus, that attacks and destroys the gut biome. And the sad thing is that even the treatment for COVID-19 has also been linked to gastrointestinal issues. But we'll talk about side effects in just a minute. But it's where those side effects collide with you. So modern medicine, major strides, life improvement, life expectancy has improved, especially in advanced countries, all because of modern medicine today. So it's a beautiful thing. Problem is that there's consequences to it. There are some side effects, and often it comes up in the form of chronic inflammation of some kind. So inflammation is your body's natural response to something going wrong. It's the immune system kicking in and doing what it's supposed to do. And it's glutathione that's the heart and soul of the immune system. It's the most powerful antioxidant made in the body. The physician's desk reference indicates that there are a number of conditions that are known to be glutathione deficient states. Now on this list, there's stroke. And I think many of you might realize that a stroke and a heart attack, there's not much difference between the two, except the direction that the clot goes in. If a clot goes toward your brain, it can cause a stroke. If a clot heads toward your heart, it can cause cardiac arrest. And you'll notice that diabetes is on this list also. There are some scientists who believe that diabetes and heart disease should be classified as one and the same. And right off the FDA's website, here's a list of glutathione depleting agents. I found this on the FDA's fda.gov. And they put this list together. And right on that list is a very common drug that you can buy over the counter now, acetaminophen. One of the most popular brand names is Tylenol. If you go to the hospital, that's very commonly given if you have a fever. But acetaminophen depletes the body of glutathione, so be careful about that. And you notice that drugs is also on the list of glutathione depleting agents, and that should trigger some alarms right there. There's currently some research indicating that elevating glutathione levels is having an impact on long haulers. In fact, folks are starting to suggest that there's a shortage of N-acetylcysteine because the demand for elevating and sustaining glutathione levels is so high now, particularly in those who have suffered from COVID. So that being the case, let's talk a little bit about the issues. I call it the 800-pound gorilla in the room, this matter of side effects. And we talked about these side effects once before, but keep in mind as we discuss side effects that it is understood that side effects will be a consequence of modern medicine. Let's see, I'm hoping that this, Jeff, are you looking at the FDA website now, finding and learning about side effects?
Yes, Jonathan.
Okay, good. So you can just go to fda.gov, and there's the address string is right there on the top of the page. And this article came up, finding and learning about side effects and adverse reactions. And we're not going to go over this in detail, but understand they describe what they call a risk-benefit analysis. That's what they do. They feel that the benefits of a drug has to outweigh the risk. And the risk, that's the part that many of us don't make ourselves aware of in advance. The opening paragraph, right around the middle of the paragraph, you see what it says there? Both prescription and over-the-counter drugs have side effects. I just showed you another slide from the FDA's website that shows that even acetaminophen has a side effect. One of the side effects is it happens to deplete glutathione in the body. And glutathione is your most powerful antioxidant that your body makes. So that's one of the side effects. But it goes on to say that side effects, also known as adverse reactions. So when you see the words adverse reactions about something, understand you're talking about the side effects of a particular drug. And they can range from minor problems like a runny nose all the way up to something life-threatening like a heart attack or liver damage. And in the subsequent paragraphs, 2 paragraphs later, common side effects include, and they mention, gastrointestinal issues, all the way down to serious side effects. And the next sentence says a side effect is considered serious if the result is death. So, and once again, I agree that that would be considered a very serious side effect if you die from the medication. Or if the side effect is life-threatening, can't seem to get that one out. Hospitalization, disability, permanent damage, or exposure prior to conception or during pregnancy cause a birth defect. So those are considered serious. Now, sadly, here's a very common popular drug in the past year that has a list of adverse side effects. The title of this article has to do with post-marketing experience. And we have this document, by the way, because a federal judge ordered that this be released. And again, it's just a drug that's been used quite a bit. In fact, all over the world, this particular drug has been used over the past 2 years or so. And if you look at the types of side effects, all the way on the far left, you see general disorders is mentioned. But right next to that, I was sorry about that. I was trying to hit the button to let somebody come in. Should just let Jeff handle that, but it popped up in my way and it stopped sharing the screen. But right next to general disorders, can you make that out? Where it says nervous system. And this is not, by the way, this particular drug that's being used all over the world right now, very popular. And in fact, people are taking 2, 3, and 4, doses of this over the course of the past few years. But the second most common side effect, and this was reported in the first 90 days of the use of this particular drug, was that it attacked the nervous system, the central nervous system. And then the next side effect was musculoskeletal issues, followed by gastrointestinal issues, and so on, and so on, and so on. So what are we talking about here? Your nervous system. Do you know how important your nervous system is? Your nervous system is everything. It's your ability to just move your fingers around is associated with your nervous system. Your ability to be able to handle stress, I don't mean just common stress. I mean your ability to not scream because someone is talking in the room is affected. Your whole nervous system is associated with that. Your brain, your thinking faculties, everything is associated with your nervous system. And one of the ways that this side effect is manifesting itself is that folks are coming down with neuropathy and all sorts of disorders. But this shows that again, that could be a consequence of it. And by the way, your heartbeat also is very, very much connected to your nervous system. That's a kind of an important part of it. The heart continues to beat because the nervous system makes it so. And that may be one of the reasons why one of the most common side effects that's been happening with that drug over the past few years has been myocarditis and pericarditis. Now, those itises is mostly related to inflammation, but keep in mind too that during that same first 90-day period of when this drug was first released, even though it was not publicized, in fact, anyone who claimed that there were any deaths associated with that were called liars and conspiracy theorists. It turns out there really were 1,223 deaths in the first 90 days, not caused by any disease, but actually caused by the drug itself. And one of the ways that it can happen is a person's heart simply stops beating. Because remember, the central nervous system is very much connected to that. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about micronutrients actually being effective and able to help the nervous system continue to function and help ameliorate some of the harmful side effects that may be taking place as a result of any toxins, or which includes side effects of any medication. So it's important to do that. Now, don't think that that means you can take a pediatric dose of a micronutrient and that will do it. No, you got to go step up into therapeutic doses of the product. So these are just a couple of slides showing that there are side effects to even diabetes medicine, and that kind of makes what Jackie Gray said at the very beginning kind of important, because they're now, this is according to PubMed now, this is not according to Jonathan Jones or the Healthcare Support Association or anyone else. This is an article, an actual study. I'm going backwards now so you can see it again. This is a study that was published in PubMed, that there is an association between breast cancer and death or mortality and diabetes medications. And at the very conclusion of the article, it says our findings show an association between diabetes and increased recurrence risk, and the risk may be greater among insulin users, particularly having to do with breast cancer. So this goes on to just talk a little bit about the way cancer behaves. And this picture here is still one of my favorite pictures. This is your immune system doing its job, handling abnormal cells in the body. But this kind of brings us to the good news, where Dr. Kedar Prasad comes in. This is the star of our show. We're going to be interviewing Dr. Prasad next week. And so we'll get a scientist perspective on how micronutrients can have an impact on the side effects of medicine. He's the author of some 31 different books. He's currently writing another one. This is one of them, Fighting Cancer with Vitamins and Antioxidants. I don't have the slide here, but the same cover that you're looking at, replace the word cancer with heart disease. So he's also written that book that you can fight heart disease with vitamins and minerals. This same product that Dr. Prasad formulated has numerous patents, and you can see all over in the far right the purpose of those patents. And on the list there is heart health, mentioned in 3 different patents, that it was established that this particular formulation of micronutrients can have a definite impact on heart health and also on diabetes. So that's why out of all of the supplements that I've been exposed to and have come to learn about over the years, besides the fact that this has N-acetylcysteine, which is extremely, extremely important in raising and sustaining glutathione levels in your body, this is the one that I have found to be the most effective and the easiest by far to use, because you're just swallowing a few capsules, or you're just mixing in a little bit in a bottle of water that you would normally drink anyway. But I take the MicroDaily EMF, so I now am completely convinced that the EMF is by far the best formula that Dr. Prasad has come up with. But the MicroDaily methylated formula, the purple bottle on the left, is very powerful as well. The advantage of the EMF is that it has 4 more ingredients in it that help your body fight back against exposure to EMF. And right now we're being bombarded with EMF because of 5G technology. So if you don't think it's a problem for you, I would challenge you on that one, because there's only 2 kinds of people in the world: those who are sick and those who don't know that they're sick. And right now we're being bathed with EMF because of 5G, and it is causing problems. The World Health Organization has categorized cell phones as a probable carcinogen. It's in the same category as cigarettes, and that's categorized by the World Health Organization. So it causes cancer. In fact, about 5 years ago, the #1 form of cancer in children, it used to be leukemia. Now it's glioblastoma, brain cancer. Now ask yourself why. What are children doing today over the past 5 to 10 years that they weren't doing in previous decades? What's the difference? Well, they're being bathed with 5G, because parents make sure that they have a nice little babysitter sitting right in front of them. And I was shocked. I saw this little kid that was sitting in a baby seat, infant, couldn't even speak. And my wife was showing the mother a video. And when the video stopped playing, the little baby reached up and touched the button for the next video to play. I could not believe my eyes. It wasn't just a slap on the screen of the tablet. The little baby touched the play button so that the next video would play. Seriously, my chin just hit the floor when I saw that. They know more about computers than we would like to believe. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of your questions. One of the questions that many people ask is, well, how can I get it? Especially if you're hearing about it for the first time. Just get back with the person who invited you to this presentation, and they'll help you set up a subscription. The prices are very reasonable, by the way. A 1 month supply of the original, the green bottle, is only $53, a little less than $53. The methylated formula, the purple bottle, is only $63, a little less. And the best one, the EMF, the red bottle, is only $73, $72 and some change. And keep this in mind too, folks. There's a difference when you take the red bottle. 3 capsules is equivalent to 2 capsules of the others. So you have to take 3 to get 1 dose of the red bottle of the EMF formula. There's so many ingredients that Dr. Prasad could not fit 1 dose into 2 capsules anymore. He added extra ingredients. So 1 dose is 3 capsules of the EMF. That's why there's 90 capsules in the EMF bottle versus 60 capsules in the other bottles. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we have one more story that we'd like to share with you before we transition to some of your questions. Rebecca Abel wanted to share her personal story. She's had some results with taking some of the product. Rebecca, you still want to share your story today?
I wanted to share a story. It's about my mom. She was on the original formula. We knew about the formula some 5 years ago, and she had been taking it, so she understood. She got a little sick, and she couldn't go out. So what she had to stay on Zoom. What she did was she took more MicroDaily. But I went on the first Wednesday of this month, And we saw Dr. Prasad. I saw Dr. Prasad. And I looked at him and I was thinking, he looked like he about 50. So then the next lady, she come on and she just raving up, she just talking about how the doctor looked good. She was all excited and everything. And I'm thinking, maybe we're about to save AIDS. Maybe something wrong with us. So I'm like, I don't know how to work my phone good. But the next day, my phone came on and it just came up. And I said, Mom, how do you think this doctor is? And she said, about 55. So just then, she just had said, younger than I was, and older, and she's older, and he's older than her. So I'm like, okay. I said, you know what? They got a new vitamin stuff. Maybe you should start on this. So I take this vitamin. It's in the purple bottle. And she's like, maybe I should try that. And she's like, and then she looked at the other picture. She said, how old is Jeff? She looked at him and said, how old is he? I said, I don't know. But anyway, she just was like, I said, I don't know, maybe Mama, maybe it's the camera. I don't know. But the doctor did look so good to me. So I was like, I don't know. So anyway, when she decided she was getting a lot of pain, she said, maybe I should try some more of that. So she told me, why don't you order me some of those next week? So that was my story.
Yeah, very good. Well, we appreciate hearing your story, especially when it has to do with Jeff looking so young.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, Rebecca. Let us know how Mom turns out with going on the methylated formula. So
yeah, she had the back problems, and she said it's been doing her good so far with her back, but she's still working hard.
Okay, well, increase the amount. And by the way, if you are a senior, and Jeff is a senior, though he may look like he's only 40 years old, he's a senior. And we take extra. We take a little bit more. We don't just take the regular adult dose. The regular adult dose for a healthy 20-year-old is 2 capsules twice a day. And for the EMF, that would be 3 capsules twice a day. Personally, I often take 6 capsules twice a day. And my energy levels are through the roof as a result of it. My back pain is non-existent. My workouts, I can barely get tired. I'm on the treadmill and I can't even get my heart rate up to over 140. So I have to really push it and change the incline. It's like I'm running uphill to try to get my heart rate up to get some cardio in.
So hey, Jonathan, hey, we did one of these virtual in-home presentations a couple of weeks ago with Priscilla, and she shared some information about her mother-in-law that's 93.
93-year-old.
And what the doctors observed. Do we have time to just share a little video clip from Priscilla talking about her mom?
Yeah, let's look at that, and then we'll open up for some questions.
Okay, here we go.
I spoke to you about my husband's mom going into emergency surgery last week. We started my mother-in-law the same time that we got involved and started using Micro Daily last year in November. And she's 93 years old. She's still in the Hawaiian Islands. She's in the Big Island. And she's still active. When I mean active, she's still able to walk and go to the restroom and perform her personal care. Unfortunately, she basically slipped and fell as she was using her walker, and she fractured her hip. Now, what I want to say is that in 2018 and 19 and the beginning of 2020, my mother has had lung issues. She's had lung problems. She had congestive heart failure. All during this time, she had been intubated. She had been intubated 9 times. And in the duration of those 3 years and in 2020, and she had hypertension and so forth. So when we started her on the Micro Daily, we had asked our family to stop whatever medication that she was taking. And they did. I've been guiding them in regards to my mother-in-law's health. And when it happened that she went into the emergency room because of the fractured hip, I guess, praise God that she didn't break her hip, but she had to have a metal plate put into her hip, which is invasive. So the family's concerned, and we were all on a Zoom call discussing this, whether or not she would go on, whether or not we would make the decision for her to have this surgery, because everybody's concern was the fact that she was diagnosed with all of these ailments. So I finally was able to speak to her medical doctor, and also to the surgeon. And I asked them, I said, she's 93 years old. You know, how safe is this surgery going to be for her? And what is going to be the recovery time? And do you feel at 93, she can handle this surgery? And to my surprise, he said, we ran all the tests on your mom. Her heart is strong. She doesn't have diabetes at this current time, and there are no scarring in her lungs. I almost flipped when they told me this. And I said, but doc, and he said, I understand your concerns, but there is nothing in her lab work that shows that she is not able to have this. She's a good candidate, even at 93 years old. So whatever you guys have been doing, it has helped her because she is a strong woman. And he said this, he says, although she's 93, he says she has a heart of a young woman. That's what he said. And so I went back to the family and I told them everything that he said. And so everybody agreed, let's go for it. Let's do the surgery for her. Because it was, and when I said this, when I asked him if the recovery after, if we didn't do this, and he says, you know, Priscilla, if you guys don't do this, you're going to kill your mom from the conventional painkillers that I'm going to have to prescribe her for the rest of her life. So wow. We need to do the surgery. And so praise God. Say this, Jeff.
Is that amazing?
Wow. Jeff, that's absolutely incredible. And sometimes it's hard to believe. But these stories just they never get old, you know, so it's the same thing again and again and again. 93 years old, and the doctor says that she has a heart of a young woman. So that's what we're going for, folks. So for those of you who are on the call right now, that's our target, is to reach 93. Actually, my minimum is like 125 is what I'm targeting for. And I expect the doctor to be able to say that I've got the heart of a young man when I hit 125. So that's what I'm expecting. So let's see if there's any questions out there right now on anything that we've discussed so far, or anything that we haven't discussed so far. Angelique Greer has a question.
Hey, Jonathan.
There we go. Hey, Angelique.
My question has to do with mental health. I have a person here, they want to know, what can micronutrients do for mental health? Do you have a video or something?
That's a very good question. Just last week, I interviewed Tanya, Sally's daughter. I don't think Sally's on right now, and I just haven't had a chance to finish editing the video. But Tanya has schizophrenia, and she's been on a number of medications for it. And she cannot believe the difference. And even those observing her, she says the voices are gone. That's all Tanya's been saying, that she just doesn't hear the voices anymore. And she can't believe it. She loves what's happened since she's been taking MicroDaily. She's taking much less medication, almost no medication, I believe, the last time she said. So Dr. Nkuzi said to me that schizophrenia is the worst of all the mental health disorders. he said it is the most difficult to treat. He's a medical doctor and an oncologist, Dr. Nkuzi. And so to have now at least one case where a person with schizophrenia has benefited is just amazing. So, but I'm not going to show you that video yet. Like I said, I just haven't edited it because we had a bunch of chatter at the beginning of the discussion and all kinds of things. So I just need to get to the part of it that's relevant. We also have had another case. We did this recording about 2 years ago with a little girl with autism. And I remember meeting this little girl, and she would not look me in the eye. She would hide behind her mother's skirt. She would not look at me. Fast forward about 2 or 3 years later, mom has put her on Micro Daily. This little girl, out of the blue, just ran over, gave me a hug, and says, "Thank you for helping my mommy." And you would not know that this child has autism today. Their shipment of Micro Daily, they missed like a month or two of it, and the taste of everything. She hated the taste of everything. Whenever she's not on Micro Daily, all the symptoms of her autism start to come back. She went back on Micro Daily, and she said to Joanna just a couple of days ago, Joanna went to drop off some product to them. And she said to her, she says, "I like the way everything tastes now." And I wish Joanna had recorded that. So the difference between being on it and not is dramatic. The reason is because the nutrients that Dr. Prasad put in this formula cross the blood-brain barrier. So, and his vitamin E succinate is one of the things I think that's the most exciting part that crosses the blood-brain barrier, but also so does N-acetylcysteine, which is able to raise glutathione levels. But Jeff, do you may have any story there?
Yeah, I was just looking here through my library of and I got a couple of possibilities. But have I shared Cynthia with you, the young lady that had to be fed through her, had to take the Micro Daily through the tube? Okay.
Yes.
I knew we'd talked about that. I've got another one here. She's talking about her brother who was born handicapped. Here, let's just try this one.
We prefaced our this one. Yes, we prefaced our newest experience last week with my brother, and I'll preface it again a little bit in that again we talked about how family members are saying, "Oh no, I'm fine, I won't take it." So this went on for about 6 months with my brother, and to preface that, my brother had a cerebral hemorrhage when he was 10. So basically, he's been like a stroke victim. His right side's been paralyzed. He's lost sight in his right eye. So Tom, being the influential Tom that he is, kept at him. And so finally one afternoon, it was like, "Okay, Michael, we're not worrying about this anymore. Don't take it." And he says, no, I'll check with my doctor. So like the next week he checks with his GP and his neurologist, and doctor, thank goodness, said, "Nothing wrong with this, Michael, go take it." So about a week or two later, we talked to him, and he said a couple of different things. One was people came up to him and said, "Mike, you look great. You're glowing." So of course we would call him the glowworm. And then in addition to that, he was saying that he found pulsing in his right eye, which has no sight, and pulsing in the elbow of his left arm. And then initially he also had some pain remedied in his feet. So whether or not there's any, complete recovery or any kind of recovery at all as far as movement, this is something that, again, one of those stories where, no, I'm not going to take it. I got to check with my doctor. And then with Tom's influence, and then Michael saw the light, so to speak. And so we talked to him tonight, and he also has, again, feeling really, really good. And people are coming up to him out of nowhere and saying, "Gee, what's going on, Mike?" So I said, "Michael, you're the kind of the actor person in the family. So you tell your friends, you tell everybody what's going on." So that's a new one for us after we came in July 22nd. So that's after a year for us with a family member.
I don't know if that quite fit or not, but that's one that we ran across. I hadn't shared much. We got another one. I just going back through my phone, and dialysis.
Jeff,
Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff, I was looking for the schizophrenia would have been good, or multiple personalities. That range of mental illness. That's what I was looking for.
Well,
but thank you.
Yeah, bet. And Jonathan, as soon as he gets this this interview done, that's really going to help as well. So, yes, Jonathan, I'm not hearing you. There we go.
I'll tell you that it doesn't help with my memory and brain activity. So yes, no problem. We'll get the schizophrenia one ready, so Jeff will have access to it. Also, we'll be able to share that. Hopefully by next week we'll try to have it ready. Okay. Thank you for your question, Angelique. Any other questions that anybody is curious about? Often some people say, well, are there any side effects to Micro Daily? There's a yes and no answer to that question. Yes, in that you could potentially suffer with having to break your relationship with your doctor and potentially be forced to use less medication. Sometimes that happens. And I say that, I'm not being facetious, because there are some people, like, one person that I can think of right now, I'm not going to even hint at who it is, that just happens to just love her doctor. She loves her diabetes doctor and didn't want to damage the relationship with the doctor. So she's very hesitant to improve her diabetes because it could affect her relationship with the doctor. But eventually she got to the point where she had no choice but to get better. So that does happen. The only other potential side effect might be Herxheimer effect or detox reaction. And some people, just recently, my brother-in-law started breaking out with a rash, and he thought that this product is not agreeing with me. But the best thing that can happen is for some physical indication that the product is working. That's the best thing that could happen to you. So we call it more of a detox response versus a reaction, because the Micro Daily is very supportive of the body's natural responses. And so if it feels like it needs to clear some things out, it will do it. It's not a reactionary cause. That's the way drugs work. They cause a reaction. Micro Daily supports a response. There we go. Perfect. Alfreda has a question or a comment she'd like to share.
Well, Friday, or maybe it was Friday at work. A lady came in, her and her son, to do a wire, and she began to exhibit, signs that she was not feeling good, and she was holding her head, and so she mentioned that her blood sugar was too high, and so she kept, complaining about that during the appointment, and so I gave her one stick of the Micro Daily Hydro, and her son went next door and got her a bottle of water. And so she immediately opened it and drank it. And I talked to her last night briefly. She was at work, but I just was calling to see how she felt the rest of the day. And she said, oh, I felt so good the rest of the day. It really helped her, just one packet. And I don't know what her numbers were, but she was really, it was, more than the usual distress. I can't really say things to people at work, but I mean, when people are like about to almost, you think they're going to pass out on you, I just take the risk and give it to them. But she did. I couldn't talk to her much, but she said, "Oh, I'll be buying this, next week." So
Excellent. Thank you. Good story there. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you. Okay. All right, folks. So Jeff, I think we've just about exhausted most of our time. There seems to be no other questions at this point. So just as a reminder, we're interviewing Dr. Prasad next week. So that's going to be next Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. So you want to start as early as possible and get the word out. We'll post this in the WhatsApp chat. If you are not a member of my WhatsApp chat, send a text message to me at 754-300-8909. 754-300-8909. And I'll send you a link to where you can join the chat yourself. It's a one-way chat. So all you can do is listen, which means that when new things are posted, you get it. If I'm sharing a news item or a health note, you'll get it. If there's information about a doctor meeting or any meetings that we have, you'll get it. If there's a recording available, you'll get it. So it's a one-way chat, but you'll be added to that group. That's how I get the word out as quickly as possible. So that's next Sunday, Dr. Prasad. We need to have a massive show of support. And if you want to build your organization and expand your customer base, if you are a health advocate, then you want to make sure that they're here next week. We have some other things on the docket during the week also, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and you're going to want to get on early next Sunday. You're going to want to be like James. James is on like a minimum of 10, 15 minutes early sometimes. But yeah, you're going to want to be there early because there's only, what, Jonathan, I think you've only got 100 slots available. So if you want to listen to it live, be there early.
They're early. Yep, you don't want to get left out.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we're forgetting, Jeff?
Just this week, we have on Wednesday night. This is the fourth Wednesday. So we've got Dr. Prasad live on our testimonial call.
Okay.
This coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Which is
8. Yeah, 8 o'clock for most of y'all. So.
Okay, very good. So that's Wednesday night. So check your emails on that also. And if you're in the WhatsApp chat, we'll make sure to post it there as well. So just as a reminder, folks, testimonials are anecdotal. What happens to one person may not happen to you. So none of these comments have been evaluated by the FDA. And the statements that have been shared with you today is for information and educational purposes only. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. Don't do anything I say because I say it. So we encourage you to do your own research and become your own health advocate, but seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. So once again, for the record, my name is Jonathan Jones. I've been your host and moderator for the evening. It's by my privilege and pleasure to do so. And Jeff Ashby has been my co-host. So we're happy to have this discussion available for you guys every single week. So we'll see you next Sunday, and for many of you, this coming Wednesday evening also on the home office call on Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock. Okay. Thank you guys very much, Jeff. Thank you again. You guys have a good day. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jonathan.
Bye,
Bye, Jeff.
Bye,
Thank you, everybody. Bye, James.
Take care.
guys.
Bye. Monica. Bye, James. I'm Monica. Hi.
This is the family. Yep. Great to see everybody.
Bye. Great one.
Thanks, Jeff.